If you're thinking about becoming a real estate agent, or you're already licensed and quietly wondering, why does this feel harder than I expected? Then this video is for you. Real estate school teaches you how to pass a test. It does not teach you how to build a career, build a business, protect your income, manage clients, or stay sane doing this long term. So today I'm breaking down 20 things they absolutely do not teach you in real estate school, but you really need to know if you want to survive and thrive in this business. Now, the first section here I'm going to talk about is the business realities. And number one is you are not in real estate, you're running a small business. Real estate school teaches laws and agency and maybe even a little contracts depending on what class you did, but it does not teach bookkeeping, budgeting, taxes, marketing, or cash flow. And if you do not treat this like a business, it will treat you like a hobby. Number two, your income is unpredictable even when you're doing everything right. You really can do everything correctly and still have months with no closings. Closings are delayed, deals fall apart, appraisals come in low. This is normal, but no one tells you that up front. As you progress in your business, you're going to get really good at the things that help it be more consistent, and you're going to get things like a backlog in your business checking accounts that you can pay yourself the same wage every month, no matter what is going on with your closings. And that's something that you'll work on as you start to be able to do this consistently. Number three, gross commission is really not your income. Before you spend that commission check in your head, you need to think about taxes. You need to think about your brokerage split. You need to think about marketing costs. You need to be thinking about things like insurance, gas. You also need to be thinking about things like software that may benefit you in your business and make your life easier. Suddenly, when you figure in the costs of owning and operating a business, that big number looks very different, especially the taxes and the brokerage split right off the top. Number four, time management matters more than hustle. Being busy is not the same as being productive. If you don't control your schedule, your clients and your phone will. This is one of the things that I feel like I've gotten better at as I've gone in my business. I always thought being busy means I'm going and running ragged all of the time, but I've found that I am able to fit so much more in smaller blocks of time by being really intentional about the time I'm spending in my business. Number five, you're going to work nights and weekends, especially until you get to the point where you can hire leverage in your business. You just have to expect to work nights and weekends because that's probably going to be when your clients are free. And they need to be able to see homes. They need to be able to meet you for listing presentations. This job is really flexible, but it's not free. So if you don't set boundaries early, this can quietly become a 24/7 job, and you don't want that. An example in my business is I do not schedule appointments on Sunday unless there is absolutely no other choice. Monday's a work from home day for me, and my Do Not Disturb goes on at 10 p.m. and comes off at 7 a.m. every day. The only way you can get through my phone with a phone call at that time is if you are a favorite in my phone, or if we have been having discussions. I'm not going to cut you off in the middle of a discussion if we're negotiating an offer or something. Section 2, it's really about clients and communication. So number 6 is you are a professional emotional regulator. You're not just selling houses. You're managing fear, stress, excitement, grief, money trauma, and relationship dynamics, often all at once. There are so many people involved with any transaction, and they all bring something to the table that you are responsible for managing as you move forward in a transaction. Sometimes that is easier than others. Sometimes it's very rewarding. Sometimes it's very, very draining. Number 7, clients don't know what they don't know. And most clients assume buying or selling is pretty straightforward, and your job is to educate without overwhelming. That is a learned skill. Oftentimes when you start getting into the buying or selling process, they do get a little overwhelmed with it. Sometimes that's because just the pure amount of things that need to be done. Like I have a client Had a client this past year who they'd lived in the house for a really long time, and the idea of decluttering and pre-packing was very tough for them, but they were going to have to do it when they sold the house anyway. So we just said, take it one bite at a time. Number 8, not every client is your client. Some people will drain your time. Some people will drain your energy, your confidence. And learning when to say no is really a part of longevity. This is something I have struggled with throughout my career, because I know I am good at dealing with difficult people, and I'm good at dealing with a large variety of people. But what I have learned, especially in the last few years, and where I have actually let some clients go, is that the time and energy that I'm spending on this one person could be better spent helping or serving 4 or 5 other people. So some people just aren't for you. Number 9, people will ghost you even after great conversations. So this isn't personal. It happens to everyone. The faster you accept this, the less emotional energy you waste. It is not always about you. I have heard some pretty crazy ones before. I've heard people walk away from really, really great agents because the other partner is attracted to that person and they thought it would be distracting throughout the process. Or maybe they find out you're close with their ex-husband or their ex-wife. There's so many different things that can go into it, and you may not ever get to know why they didn't choose you. Sometimes it's just chemistry. Number 10, communication style matters as much as expertise. So how you say something can matter far more than what you say. Clear, calm, consistent communication builds trust way faster than fancy language. One example I always give is that a contract is between a buyer and a seller. They're the people that need to understand the contract. I know a lot of agents who deliberately obfuscate the facts of the contract to make it so only agents can interpret it. So they will do things like, instead of writing out the names of addendums, they will put just the form numbers on there. And yes, it is still legally binding. It is still true. It's still correct. They haven't done anything wrong. But when I'm teaching new agents, I make sure to specifically talk to them about considering the entirety of the situation that you're in. So when a buyer or a seller looks at a list of addenda and they see 22A, 22B, Form 17, things like that, they don't know what those things are. An agent may know off the top of their head, they may not. Not everyone knows all those numbers. But by not writing the name of the addendum, I feel that you're deliberately making it so that an agent has to interpret it. And remember that the contract is not between 2 agents. The contract is between a buyer and a seller, and making things as plain language as you possibly can is really beneficial here. Now, the next section is going to be more about transactions and deals. So number 11, the contract is only the beginning. Once you're under contract, that's really when the real work starts. And I hate to break it to you, because you may not have even written your first contract yet. You're still just trying to get a client. But really, once you get an offer accepted or once you put a listing under contract, that's when the real work starts. Those are deadlines, inspections, appraisals, negotiations, and problem solving through things like the financing process. This is where a great agent shines. Yes, it is better to have an experienced agent writing your offer to begin with, for sure, but having an experienced agent during the actual listing or escrow process is what makes a world of difference, because they know how to handle these things. They know how to navigate these situations. Sometimes they've been in them before, sometimes they have the relationships to help, and oftentimes they're just expert communicators, and that's what it takes to get the job done. Number 12, every deal is different. There is no such thing as a standard transaction. If you treat them all the same, you're going to get burned. And I will tell you, I have never had 2 transactions that go the same way. There is always something about the people involved, something about the house, something about the financing. There is always something that makes it a little bit different. And that is why this job never gets boring. That's one of the parts I love about it. Also makes the problem solving really fun. Number 13, you will make mistakes. You will forget things. You will learn lessons the hard way. And the key is really building systems so you don't repeat them. You only want to buy a fridge for a client once. I've never bought a fridge, but I've bought some other things. But the key here is I do have a system. I've made mistakes. I make mistakes. And I have a system for making sure that I don't repeat them a second time. And that system is at the end of a transaction on my checklist, I have reflection built in. And what I do is I look at that checklist and I go, is there anything that was hard or difficult on this transaction that could have been prevented by adding something to this checklist or doing something differently? And I really take that into account. So things like, I know on all manufactured homes, there are X, Y, and Z I need to do because it's a manufactured home and things are different. Number 14, some deals die at the finish line. Even late stage deals can fall apart. It's emotionally brutal. It is awful, but it's also completely normal. So don't spend that commission before you make it, and know that it can happen. Sometimes people just get cold feet. I had clients who gave up a $10,000 earnest money deposit because they got cold feet the day before closing, and they said, let them keep it. We decided we don't want to buy anymore. It happens. Number 15, your reputation matters more than any single commission. Short-term wins can create really, really long-term damage. So how you show up under pressure does follow you. Keep that in mind. It doesn't matter how big of a city you're in, how small of a city. I'm in a pretty small city, so it's exceptionally important here. I do multiple transactions with some of the same agents every year. I'd say that's true of everybody who's in the top 20% of producers here. We do a lot of multiple transactions with people. So you cannot burn those bridges because you will have another transaction with them. The next section is really about marketing, leads, and longevity. So number 16 is you don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be consistent. You do not need every platform. I don't tweet, or the X, whatever it is you do on X, because you probably don't tweet like you did on Twitter. But I don't have X. I don't have TikTok. There's a lot of stuff I don't have. And you do not need every platform. You just need one or two that you can show up on consistently. And know that number 17, relationships will outlast algorithms. Social media changes, but people remember how you treated them and how you made them feel during a transaction. So make sure that you are keeping in touch with those people and you are keeping that relationship alive. Number 18, your confidence will grow slower than you want. This business really humbles you. Confidence comes from experience, not from licenses. You may have your license now, but confidence comes from experience and repetition. We don't even, in our office, we have a coaching program you're required to be in for your first 6 transactions. And depending how long it took you to do those 6 transactions, you may not feel confident by the end of it. You have the options to stay in. You also have other options available to you to help build that confidence. But honestly, it comes with repetition, knowing your systems and knowing your processes. Number 19, burnout is common, but preventable. And I'm speaking from experience here. I am a high achiever, so burnout is something that happens a lot. I'm highly motivated, but I also have an autoimmune disease. So this shows up for me a lot in my life. And burnout usually comes from poor boundaries, no systems, no support, or unrealistic expectations. Where this has shown up the most for me is when I break systems. So I am doing, let's say I was doing 12 deals a year. My system supported 12 deals a year, but as I grow, those systems no longer support 12, aren't going to support the 20 deals a year that it increased to. So making sure that you take time, step back, and you evaluate those things. Get support where you need it, and make sure that you're setting appropriate boundaries and that you have realistic expectations for outcomes. Number 20, longevity beats intensity. The agents who last are not the loudest, they're not the flashiest, they're consistent, ethical, organized, and patient. I see this a lot. We've had a lot of agents who started the business from 2018 on. A lot of them, it's like a flash in the pan. They come in, they're hyper successful, they get a lot of business, and they're very tenacious. But once they realize they don't have the systems, or they're making unethical decisions and the word's getting around, they're disorganized, they're impatient, those things are things that get around, and they lose business quickly, but they become disenchanted with the business as a result. So to wrap things up, Real estate school gives you permission to practice, but experience teaches you how to survive and eventually how to thrive. And if you're new, struggling, or you just want a more sustainable approach to real estate, you're not behind, you're learning. Now, if this video helped you, hit subscribe. I post honest, real-world real estate education here. And if you wouldn't mind, drop a comment with the thing you wish someone had told you earlier. Or you can share this with someone who's thinking about getting into real estate. I'm Corie Burke. You can find me at corieburke@gmail.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.